Hey everyone, this is Hafizullah Masoudi and you're watching From Code with Hafiz. I welcome you to the sixth video of this series where we will discuss a CSS outline and a CSS text. Now, an outline is a line that is drawn around elements outside the borders to make the element stand out. So CSS has outline style, outline color, outline width, outline offset, and outline itself properties. Now outline is different from borders. The outline is drawn outside the element's border and may overlap other content, and the outline is not a part of the element's dimensions, so the element's total width and height is not affected by the width of the outline. So first of all, we have the outline style property, which specifies the style of the outline and can have the same values that discussed for the borders. So to show you some examples, let's create some paragraphs first. So I will create a paragraph, and let's say this is a paragraph. So let's say paragraph, and let's give it a class. So let's say dotted, and let's duplicate it a couple of times. So the next one is dashed, and the next one is solid, and the next one is double, and the next one is groove, and this one is ridge, and next one we have inset, and next one we have outset. So let's remove the other one. Now what we can do is, in our styles tag we can declare some styling or outline for each of them. So first of all, let's say for the dotted, let's say curly braces, and let's say outline style, and we want this one to be dotted. Now let's duplicate it a couple of times. So the next one is for dashed, so this one is dashed, and this one is for solid. So in here let's say solid 2, and this one is for double, so let's say double, and in here let's say double, and the next one is for groove, so let's say groove, and this one is for ridge, so let's say ridge, and this one is for inset, so let's say inset, and let's duplicate it one more time. So this one is for outset. Now let's save this, get back to the browser, and if I refresh, now you can see these paragraphs are having outline. So we have outline none and hidden also, and you know that the outline none will have no outline, and the hidden will be hidden for the display. Now next up, what we have is the outline width property and outline color property. So to show you some examples of this one, let's get back to the Visual Studio Code, and let's declare the width for the first one. So in here what I will do is declare a border also. So let's create it before the outline style. So let's say border, and we want this one to be 1 pixel, and let's say solid and black. And now let's say outline width, and we want the width of this outline, let's say 10, and let's say outline color, and let's make it red. And next up, let's also give some outline property to this dashed outline. So let's first declare the border, so 1px solid, and let's make it black. And then let's say outline width, so let's say this one is medium, so medium, and let's say outline color, and let's make this one red. So let's declare some properties of outline for the solid also. So let's say first border, and 1px solid, and let's make it black. And then let's say outline width, so let's make this one thick, So you can see guys that it also takes same values as we described for the border. Now I told you earlier that what is the difference between the outline and the border, so you will see it now. So let's declare the color for this one. So let's say outline color, and let's make this one red. And for the last one, let's say border, and let's say 1 px and solid and black. And let's say outline width, and for this one let's declare a length, so 4px, and let's also give it some color. So let's say outline color, and let's say red. Now if we save this, get back to the browser, refresh, now you can see each of the element is getting a black border and a red outline. And for this one you can see this is a medium outline and getting its own color, and it's also showing the border in black. So you can see the other ones too. So we can use the outline width property to specify the width of the outline, which can be specified with predefined names, thin, medium and thick, or with a specific size using px or pixels, points, centimeters, em, etc. And to declare outline color, so we have the outline color property, which defines the color of the outline, and its value can be predefined color names, hex values, RGB values, or HSL values. So for outline we have an invert value also, and in here the invert color is new. Well, what this value does is that it performs a color inversion, which ensures that the outline is visible regardless of the background color. So to show you this one, let's declare an outline of invert for this other paragraph. So let's get back to Visual Studio Code, and for this other one, if we declare, let's say width or outline width, let's say 5 pixels, and let's say outline color, so let's invert it. Now if we save this, get back to the browser, now you can see it is inverting the background color, which is making the outline black. Now next up what we have is the outline shorthand property for setting the outline style, width and color in one property. To show you this one, let's get back to Visual Studio Code, and let's declare an outline for this other paragraph, or let's create another one. So let's create another one here at the top, and let's give it a class of, let's say, test. So let's style it now, so I will say dot test, and now we have the outline property itself. So let's say 5px, and we want this one to be solid, and for the color let's say yellow. So if we save this, get back to the browser, refresh, now you can see the first paragraph is getting outline, and it has also width declared, and the color is yellow. Now next up what we have is the outline offset property to add a space between an outline and the edge or border of an element. Now this space will be transparent. So to show you an example, let's get back to Visual Studio Code, and what I will do is let's remove all of this code. So let's remove it because we will write some other code. Now let's create first of all a paragraph. So let's create a paragraph, and inside here let's say this is a paragraph first, and in our style tag let's target the paragraph, and for this one we want some margin, so let's say 30px, and let's give it a background color also, so let's say background, and let's say yellow, and let's also declare some border for it, so border, and let's say 1px, and let's say solid, and the color should be black. And next up let's declare some outline, so let's say 1px, and let's say solid, and this one should be red. And this time we want the outline offset, so we want the offset to be 15 pixels. So let's save this, get back to the browser and refresh. Now you can see this is the content itself, and the black line that you see is the border, and then we have this white space in here which is transparent. So this is the offset between the border and the outline itself. So you can see the outline is in red color. So this was everything about a CSS outline. Now next up what we have is CSS text. So CSS provides a lot of properties for formatting text. Now first of all we have the color property, which is used to set the color of the text, and the color can be a color name, a hex value, an RGB value, or HSL value. So if you want to declare a default color for a page, you can define it in the body selector. So to show you this one, let's get back to Visual Studio Code, and let's first of all remove this code from here, and now we can target the body selector, and let's declare first of all the background color for this one. So it should be background color, and let's say light gray. And let's also declare the text color. So let's say a color should be blue. So if we save this, get back to the browser and refresh, now you can see we didn't even declare a color for the paragraph, but it is getting the default text color from the parent element, which is the body selector. Now let's create some other elements. So in here what I will do is create a div. So let's say div, and let's say some other text, and let's create a h1 also. So let's say h1, and let's say this is a header, and now let's target these elements. So in here let's say div and curly braces, and let's first declare a background color. So let's say blue, and then let's say color should be white, and next up we have the h1, so curly braces, and for this one let's say background color, so let's say black, and let's say color for the text color, and let's say white. So if we save this, get back to the browser, refresh, now you can see each element is getting a background color and also the text color. Now next up what we have is the text alignment properties. So we can use the text align property to set the horizontal alignment of a text, and a text can be left or right aligned, or centered, or justified. To show you some examples, let's get back to Visual Studio Code, and in here what we can do is let's say for the div, let's press enter, and let's say text align, and we want this one to be, let's say, left, and let's declare a text align for the header, so text align, and let's say this one should be right, and let's create a paragraph at the bottom. So in here let's say p, and let's put some lorem ipsum, and for this first paragraph let's give it a class, so let's say first, and for the second let's say second, so let's say second. Now in here let's style these paragraphs. So the first one is first, and for this one what I want to do is I want to say text align, and let's say this one should be centered or center, and let's say the second, so let's say in here second, and let's say text align, and for this one I want a justify. Now if we save this, get back to the browser, refresh, now you can see this paragraph is centered, this one is left aligned, this one is right aligned, and this one is justified. So to see this one better, let's create some other text also. So what I will do is I will copy this lorem ipsum from here and paste it a couple of times for you to see better. So if you refresh, now you can see the text is justified as we expect this to be. Now next up what we have is the text align last property to specify how to align the last line of a text. So let's work on this one. So we want to align the last line of this paragraph. So let's get back to Visual Studio Code, and this one is the second paragraph. So in here let's say text align last, and for this one if we declare it left, so it would be in the left, as by default it is in the left. So let's make it right. So let's say this one should be right, and now it will be right. As you can see, now it is moved to the right. So if we make it center, it will be in center. So if I refresh, now you can see the text or the last sentence of this paragraph is centered. Now next up, what we have is the text direction properties that can be used to change the text direction of an element. So to show you this one, let's get back to Visual Studio Code, and in here what I will do is let's declare the direction for this h1. So for this one, let's say Unicode. So Unicode BiDi, and we want this one to be BiDi override. And for the first paragraph, let's say direction, and we want this one to be RTL, or right to left. So if we save this, get back to the browser, refresh, but it is centered. So let's remove the center, and for this one it's not working because we didn't declare the direction. So if we get back to Visual Studio Code, and for the header, what we can do is we can declare the direction. So let's say direction here, and let's say RTL, and we can remove this other code or text line. So let's remove it, and for this other one, let's remove the center. So if we save this, get back to the browser, refresh, now you can see this text is right to left, and the header is BiDi direction. Now next up, what we have is vertical alignment, with which we can set the vertical alignment of an element. So to show you this one, let's get back to Visual Studio Code, and first of all let's remove all of this code. We will write some other code. So let's remove this one too. So first of all, let's create an paragraph. So p tag, and let's press enter here, and let's say an image tag, and for the source what I will do is I have an image inside the images folder, which is this sq or square purple.gif. So let's select this, and I don't need the alt, so let's remove this, and in here let's say image example. So now what we can do is we can design this. So let's go to the style. Now in here, before styling the image, we can get to the browser and see this image and the text, how it looks like. So let's go to the browser, refresh, and for now you can see everything is aligned properly. So if we get back to Visual Studio Code, and let's target the image, and then let's say we want curly braces, and let's say vertical align, and for this one we want to say baseline. So it is the default. If we refresh, nothing is changed. So if we change the baseline to text top, so let's say text top, and if we go to the browser now, refresh, now you can see the image moved a little bit to the top of the text. And if we declare it a text bottom, so let's say text bottom, it will now move to the bottom of the text. As you can see, now it is located in the bottom of the text. So to show you other examples, we have sub or subscription. So let's say sub, and if we save this and get back to the browser, refresh, now you can see it is like a subscription for the text. And if we declare it super, so let's go to the Visual Studio Code, and let's say super, now it will be at the top of the text. So if I refresh, you can see now it is a super for the text. Now next up, what we have is we can decorate a text using CSS. So we have the text decoration properties that we can use to add a decoration line to some text. Now you can combine more than one value like overline and underline to display lines both over and under a text. So to show you some examples, let's get back to Visual Studio Code, and in here I will remove this image from here, and let's say this is a paragraph example, and now we will style it using the decoration properties. So let's first target the paragraph, and let's say text decoration and then line. So we have the text decoration line to decorate the line. So we have overline. So if we save this, get back to the browser, refresh, now you can see this text is getting an overline decoration. And we have line through, so let's say line through, and now it will have a line through decoration. And next up what we have is underline, so let's say underline, and if I save this, get back to the browser, refresh, now you can see it's having underline. Now for better practice, I will bring my browser to the right and bring the Visual Studio Code to the left, so for you to see better. So let's close the sidebar here, and next up for the underline, let's say we want two values, so let's say overline, and then I want to say, let's say in here underline. Now we have two styling, so let's get back to the browser, and if I refresh, now you can see it's getting an underline and also an overline. Now guys, note that it's not recommended to underline a text that is not a link, as this often confuses the reader, because the reader would think text is a link. So keep this one in mind. Now next up, what we can declare for the text decoration is the color of the decoration. So to show you this one, what we can do is we can declare a text decoration color here, and let's say red. So if I save this, get back to the browser, and now if I refresh, now you can see it's having a red decoration color. Now next up what we have is the text decoration style property, which can be used to set the style of the decoration line. So to show you this one, let's get back to Visual Studio Code, and in here let's say text decoration style, and let's say solid. So these values are the same as we did for the border and the outline. So if I refresh, it will be the same as it is. So if you make this dashed, now it will be dashed decoration. So you can see it is dashed decoration. And we have a Vivi also, so let's say Vivi, and this one is like this. You can see it's a Vivi decoration. Now next up what we have is the text decoration thickness property, which can be used to set the thickness of the decoration line. So to show you this one, in our Visual Studio Code, let's say text decoration thickness, and for this one let's say 25%, and if we save this, get back to our browser and refresh, now you can see the decoration is a little bit thick than before. So it can be in pixels too. So if we declare it, for example, 10 px, and now if we refresh, you can see now it is 10 pixel thickness. Now of course we have the text decoration shorthand property for text decoration line, color, style and thickness. So the text decoration line is required, but the color, style and thickness values are optional. So to show you an example, what I will do is remove all of this code from here now, and let's say text decoration now. So the first value would be the decoration line. So for this one, let's say underline, and the second value can be color, so let's say red, and the third value can be style, so let's say double, and the fourth value can be thickness, so let's say 5px. So if I save this and refresh, now you can see we have a double underline with color red, and its thickness is 5 pixels. Now all links in HTML are underlined by default, so sometimes you see that links are styled with no underline. So for that element the text decoration is none, so it will remove the underline from the links. So to show you an example, let's first create an anchor tag, and for this one let's say it is a link, and in here let's say a curly braces, and let's say text decoration, and we want this one to be none. So if we refresh the browser now you can see it's not having an underline. So if I comment this styling, Now if we refresh, you can see it has underline. Now next up, what we have is the text transform property, which can be used to specify uppercase, lowercase letters in a text. It can be used to turn everything into uppercase or lowercase letters, or capitalize the first letter of each word. So to show you an example of this one, let's remove the link first, and let's remove this styling. So for the paragraph, let's say text transform, and let's first say uppercase. So if we refresh the browser now you can see all the text is in uppercase. So if we say lowercase, now it will be in lowercase text. So you can see everything is lowercase. And to say capitalize, now the first letter of each word will be capitalized. As you can see, each letters of the first word are capitalized. Now next up, what we have is the text spacing properties. So we have the text indent property, which is used to specify the indentation of the first line of a text. So to show you this one, let's remove this paragraph text and create some lorem ipsum. And in here, let's say text indent, and we want this one to be 50 pixels. So if we refresh the browser now you can see the text is having some indentation in here. And next up, we have the letter spacing. So let's say letter spacing, and let's declare it 5 pixels. So if we refresh the browser, now you can see it is getting a text or letter spacing. So letter spacing is used to specify the space between the characters in a text. Now next up, we have line height. So it will be used to specify the space between lines. So to show you this one, and let's say in here line height, and let's say for example 0.8. so if we refresh now you can see it's 0.8. so if we declare it 2 and refresh, now you can see we have more line height. Now next up, we have word spacing. So let's say word spacing, and let's say 10 px. So this will create or specify space between each word. So if I refresh now you can see we have extra space between the words. Now next up, we have the white space property, which specifies how white space inside an element is handled. So to show you this one, let's say white space, and we want to say no wrap. So if we refresh now you can see it's not wrapping the text, so we have a long text in here. Now next up, we have the text shadow properties. So the text shadow property is used to add a shadow to a text. So to show you an example of this one, what we can do is, let's say we want to remove all of this, and for this one let's say we want to create a header. So first let's create a header here. Let's say h1, and let's say this is a heading, and now let's target in this header. So h1 here, and in here what we can do is, now let's say text shadow, and for the shadow what we have is two values. The first one is for the horizontal and the second one is for the vertical shadow values. So let's say 5px and 5px. So if I save this and refresh the browser, now you can see it is having a shadow. So to declare a color for it, we can declare a third value. So let's say red, and if we refresh now you can see the shadow is red. And to blur the shadow, what we can do is we can declare the third value in length. So in here we can say 5px. So now what it will do is blur the shadow. So if I refresh, now you can see the shadow is being blurred. Now to declare some more examples, let's create some other paragraphs, or headings. So I will duplicate this one, and for this one let's say h2, this one should be h3, and let's say h4 and h5. So the last one should be also, let's say h2, h3, h4, h5. So in here let's duplicate this one a couple of times. So this one should be H2. So for text shadow, what we can have is, let's say we want to remove this, but first let's declare a text color. So let's say white, and for the text shadow, let's say 2px, and let's say we want to blur it 4px, and for the color let's declare it 000. So if we save this and refresh, now you can see we have a nice shadow for this white text. So for the H3, let's say H3 here, and let's declare, for example, the text shadow for this. So let's say 0 and 0, and let's say 3px, and let's say hash ff0000. So if I save this and refresh, now you can see it is having a nice shadow for the text. So let's work on the other examples. So this is for the H4, and for the H4 what I will do is declare two shadow values. So in here let's say 0 0 and 3px, and let's say, for example, hash ff0000. And to declare another shadow, we can put a comma here, and now we can declare another shadow. So let's say 005px and hash 0000ff. So if we save this, refresh, now you can see this is having two shadows. So let's declare the last one. So H5, and for this one let's declare a color first. So white, and let's say text shadow, and let's say 1px, and let's say 2px for the blur, and let's say black. And next up, let's say 0 0 and 25px, and let's say blue. And then let's say 005px, and let's say dark blue. So if we save this now and refresh, now you can see this is another kind of shadow. So guys, this was everything about a CSS outline and CSS text. So now this being done, our video has come to an end, and I hope you enjoyed watching the video and found this informative. If so, don't forget to give the thumbs up and a nice comment also. And if you are new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe too if you want more videos like this. So thanks for watching. See ya in the next video.